There is a place on this earth where you can walk for 3 days without seeing another human being. Where the horizon is so unbroken, so perfectly flat in every direction, that sailors once used this landscape to calibrate their navigation instruments, because it was the closest thing to the open ocean. That existed on dry land, and inside one tiny circle of felt and wood. A family is having breakfast. Children are getting ready for school. A school that is 3 hours away across open grass. A woman is making tea with milk from animals she tended before dawn. A man steps outside and reads the sky the way a sailor reads the sea. Signs that have no name in any language but this one. This is Mongolia, the most sparsely populated country on Earth, and the home of one of the oldest ways of living human beings have ever invented. Not preserved in a museum, not performed for tourists, a real, complete daily life. And it raises a question this landscape seems to ask out loud. In a world that has spent centuries building walls and fences and cities, what do we lose when the last people who chose none of those things finally disappear? Mongolia is the 18th largest country on Earth, larger than Alaska, and home to only 3.3 million people. To put that in perspective, the entire population of Mongolia would fit inside the city of Los Angeles, with room to spare. It is the most sparsely populated sovereign nation on the planet. 5 people per square mile. In the United States, the average is 94. In England, over 1,000. In Bangladesh, more than 3,000. And in the vast eastern steppe, the prehistoric grassland that covers nearly half the country, the human presence effectively reaches zero. There are regions the size of Ohio where the only thing you can see from 1,000 feet in the air is the occasional white circle of a single tent. No towns, no paved roads, no fences to mark where one life ends and another begins. Just grass, sky, and the few people who have chosen to live in the heart of both. It looks like the emptiest place on Earth. It is, in fact, one of the most carefully managed. But do not be deceived. This is not undeveloped land. This is a landscape that has been read, moved across, and sustained by nomadic herders for 4,000 years. With a precision no fence and no irrigation system has ever matched. The steppe stays intact because the people who live on it understood. Long before the word ecology existed, one simple truth: the land can only give what it is allowed to recover. Scientists who study the steppe will tell you something that sounds impossible. This grassland has been grazed continuously for thousands of years without serious damage, but only where the nomads were left free to move. The places that have turned to dust are almost always the places where someone decided the animals should stay put. The steppe does not reward staying, it rewards knowing when to go. And to move a whole life across a place this vast, the people needed one animal above all others. Here is a number that tells you what this country actually is. Mongolia has more horses than people. 3.3 million humans, 4.2 million horses. This is not an accident. The Mongolian horse is small, barely 14 hands, stocky and rough, and it is one of the hardiest animals on Earth. It can survive a winter of -40 degrees with no barn and no feed, digging through the snow with its hooves to reach the frozen grass beneath. And this is where the empty steppe begins to hide something. 800 years ago, European commanders watched Mongol armies move at speeds they thought were physically impossible. They were wrong about one thing. They were thinking of European horses, animals that needed grain and stables and rest. The Mongolian horse needed nothing but the steppe, and the people who rode it were about to do something no one in history had ever done. Look at this emptiness, the silence, the sense that nothing has ever happened here and nothing ever will. And now, hold that thought. Because the people who live in these felt tents, on this empty grass at the quietest edge of the modern world, 800 years ago, they ruled it. 800 years ago, the people who lived in these felt tents ruled the world. At its height, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Korean peninsula to the borders of modern Poland. From the frozen forests of Siberia to the Persian Gulf. 24 million square kilometers, the largest connected land empire in the history of the human race. At a time when the entire world held fewer than 500 million people, this empire governed around 100 million of them. Stop on that for a moment. 1 in every 5 human beings alive on Earth answered in some way. To a man who had grown up in a felt tent on this grass. And here is the part the statues never show you. That man began with nothing, born Temujin around 1162. His father was poisoned when he was a boy. His family was abandoned by their clan, left to starve on the open steppe. As a teenager, he was captured and enslaved. An orphan, a refugee, a slave who would conquer more of the earth than any leader before or since. But the most extraordinary thing about Genghis Khan was not how much he took. It was how he held it. We remember Genghis Khan for the violence. But his real weapon was something far less dramatic and far more powerful: organization. He built the Yam, the first long-distance postal relay system in the world. A network of way stations and fresh horses that could carry a message 1,000 miles in a single week. At a time when the rest of the world moved at the pace of a walking man, the steppe moved at the speed of a galloping horse. He declared religious tolerance across the empire. He reopened and protected the Silk Road, and he created something historians call the Pax Mongolica, the Mongol Peace. For the first time, a single merchant could travel the entire way from China to Persia, carrying no weapon at all, protected by Mongol law the whole distance. The empire faded, but the connection it forced open between East and West never fully closed again. And at the root of all of it, the speed, the conquest, the reach, was a single animal. woven so deeply into this culture that the people made music out of it. Remember the question we began with. What do we lose when this way of life disappears? To answer it, you have to understand what this life is actually built on. To understand this country, you have to understand that the horse is not an animal here. It is the culture itself. Listen to the khur, the horsehead fiddle, the national instrument of Mongolia. Its strings are made of horsehair. Its bow is made of horsehair. The carved head at its top is a horse when a Mongolian musician plays it. They are, in a very real sense, playing the horse, its gait, its breath, its grief. And this relationship does not begin in adulthood. It begins almost at birth. At the Nomadic festival, the horse race jockeys are not professional riders. They are children, between 5 and 12 years old. They learn to ride before they learn to read. They are not visitors to this landscape, watching it from the outside. They are part of its biology. A child raised on the steppe can read a horse's mood before it acts, can sit a galloping animal across open ground as naturally as walking, can feel a change in the weather through the way the herd moves. It is a kind of knowledge that no school teaches, and it only survives as long as the steppe does, which is exactly what makes one Mongolian word so feared. There is a Mongolian word with no equivalent in English, Zood. It describes a particular kind of disaster, a summer drought that leaves the animals too thin, followed by a winter so brutal it finishes them. The drought weakens, the winter kills, and a Zood does not kill dozens of animals, it kills millions. In the winter of 2010, a single Zood killed 8 million animals, 22% of the entire national herd. Gone in a few months, frozen where they stood, across the whole country. Now make that number small enough to feel. Picture one family, one herder who spent years building a herd, animal by animal, season by season, walking out one morning after the snow to find almost all of it dead. Not a setback, not a hard year, an erasure. This is the moment. The question from the beginning stops being abstract. When the herd is gone, a family must decide. Hold on to a way of life the world is forgetting, or let it go. Because on the steppe, the herd is not just wealth. It is the entire reason to be there. The animals are the food, the transport, the trade, the heat, the future. When the herd dies, the way of life dies with it. And the survivor is left holding a question with no good answer. Stay and rebuild from almost nothing, knowing the next Zood is coming, or leave. And here is the quiet arithmetic of it. A herd is not rebuilt in a season. It takes years of breeding and surviving to grow the numbers back. After every major Zood, a few families in each district decide they cannot do it again and leave the steppe for good. This is what empties the steppe. Not war, not conquest, weather and arithmetic. When the herd is gone and there is nothing left to rebuild with, the family loads what remains onto a truck and drives to the city. To the Ger districts, the vast rings of felt tents and fenced plots that have grown around the edge of the capital, where a third of the entire country now lives. And here, something quietly devastating happens. A man who could read the sky, who could find water in open grassland, who could keep 1,000 animals alive through a 40 below winter, a master by any honest measure. arrives in the city and discovers that none of it counts. His knowledge has no market here. There is no job that asks for it. The skill that made him extraordinary on the steppe makes him invisible in the city. A master of one world becomes a ghost in another. And every zood, every hard winter, turns a few thousand more of them into ghosts. This is what we risk losing. Not a postcard view, but a way of knowing the world that took thousands of years to build. And yet, every summer, the steppe answers back. Every July, on the open grass, the people gather for a festival that has been held in some form since the time of the great Khans. Nadam, the festival of the three games: wrestling, archery, horse racing. These are not sports in the way we mean the word. They were not invented for an audience. They are the three skills that kept the Mongolian people alive. Wrestling, because a world without walls or courts or police was settled by the body. Archery, because the same draw of the bow meant both the hunt and the war. And horse racing, because everything that mattered, news, migration, trade, survival itself, moved at the speed of a horse. Wrestling has no weight classes and no time limit. Two men, bare arms on open grass, and it ends only when one of them touches the ground with anything but his feet. Archery is shot the old way, with composite bows at targets of small woven cylinders stacked on the ground. And the judges sing the score, a sound that has not changed in centuries. And the horse race is not a loop around a track. It is a straight run across miles of open steppe. The same ground, the same distances that an army once crossed to conquer the world. And at the horse race, the riders are children again, 5, 6, 7 years old, flat against the necks of their horses, crossing miles of open ground. Because what Nadam celebrates is not really the winner. It is the steppe itself, the fact that this land still produces people who can do these things. People who can read the weather, endure the winter, rebuild after the zood, move their entire world in 2 hours and raise it again somewhere better. Nadam is not a memory of the past. It is a sentence in the present tense. We are still here. The steppe is still here. We have not disappeared. We began with a question. What do we lose when the last people who chose none of it finally disappear? Here is what the steppe answers. The nomads do not live this way because they have no other option. They live this way because they understand something the rest of the world has mostly forgotten. That ownership is not the same as belonging. That permanence is not the same as stability. That a life built on movement, on reading the land, following the grass, knowing when to go and when to stay, is not a lesser life. It is a different kind of intelligence. There are children on the steppe tonight who will grow up to make a choice the rest of us never face. The city or the steppe, both are real. Both have a cost, and the ones who choose the steppe will wake every morning inside a circle of felt with a window to the sky, in a landscape that has not changed in 10,000 years. Knowing exactly who they are and exactly where they belong. Because in the end, a home is not a place you own. A home is a place that knows you. If you want to keep finding the places and the people most of us never truly see, subscribe and come with us.